Perugly. Toffee is a black Perugly. She's fat and she tends to aggressively purr at you if she wants something.
Food, probably. But Toffee is not ugly.
No, she's not. Our Toffee darling is adorable.
An adorable little Toffee darling.
Hello, welcome to Tea and Toffees, a weekly VTuber podcast. I'm Neitshayd. Hello. An undead demon that got stuck in the mortal world.
And I'm Cecilia. Hello, I was a witch in my previous life. Welcome to this new episode.
Yes, today we're talking about Pokémon. Everyone knows Pokémon. We don't need to explain what Pokémon is.
No, I don't think we need to explain that. Yes, in this episode, we will talk about our history with the franchise and the core games up to Gen 5. And then in the next episode, we will continue to talk about Pokemon because, as you have probably guessed, there are not only 5 generations of the main Pokemon games. So in the next episode, we will continue with Generation 6 and also discuss spin-off games. And Neitshayd gets to moon about the manga. And we will also talk about the anime and the Detective Pikachu movie.
Yes. In this episode, we'll not only talk about our history of the franchise, we'll also talk about the history of the franchise.
Yes, that too.
Yes, all right. Let's mispronounce every single Pokemon name, shall we?
Yes, let's do that. Okay, let's start with the history as we always do. So, what's your history with the Pokemon franchise?
My personal history started with Heart Gold. In English, actually. I didn't have a choice back then. Barely knew what was going on because I only had just begun learning the language, but it was still fun playing Heart Gold. Then I played Platinum. I think I started Platinum around the same time as Heart Gold. Maybe shortly after. Also in English, went a bit better. From what I remember, Platinum was a bit easier than Heart Gold, even though I still didn't really understand much. Then when Black 2 came out, I played Black 2. This one not in English, actually. I bought it in the store and I was not living in England. And yeah, you couldn't really change the language back then. Then I played White, this time in English again, on purpose this time. And any game that follows, I played in English on purpose. And then I played X and Omega Ruby and Yellow and Moon and Ultra Moon and Ultra Sun both. And then Shield, and I will not ever play Scarlet or Violet.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the core games.
What about the others?
Yeah, for spin-offs, I remember that I played some Ranger game for the Nintendo DS. And the Time Travel Mystery Dungeon, and then one of the 3DS Mystery Dungeons that I never finished and instead gave to Cecilia. And I absolutely love the Pokemon Adventures manga. I read it up to the Sun and Moon chapter. Should probably catch up sometime. And, well, I kind of hate the Pokemon anime with a passion. I absolutely hate it.
Okay. But we are not getting into the anime or the manga in this episode. We will talk about main games and what is my history with it. Well, I started with Pearl in my mother tongue, which, in case you haven't noticed yet, is not English. And as Neitshayd already mentioned, you couldn't actually change the language back then, so I couldn't even have played in English even if I had wanted to, and back then my English wasn't that great, so yeah, I played it not in English. Then after Pearl came Platinum and Soul Silver and then Black for me. And then White too, because why would I continue the story from Black and Black 2 and I can also play White 2, you know? Yeah.
You only wanted your Reshiram, didn't you?
Yes, I only wanted my Leshinam. That's all that matters to me.
You know, I played black too and then white, but I didn't do it because of Sekiro, however you pronounce that Pokemon. If I had known, I would have tried to get my hands on black, actually.
Black. I want my Leshilam. That's all I want. Okay. After white 2 came X. So like that was the second time I chose like the first one, because you always say the games like in one first and then the other comes second. And usually I chose the second one because I chose Pearl and then Soul Silver, then Black, the first exception, then came White 2, and then X was another exception. Well, then what was the next one? Alpha Sapphire, Moon, and then Ultra Sun. I actually wanted to stop in that gen, but I got convinced to continue. After that came Switch games. I played Let's Go Eevee and also Pokemon Shield, which I borrowed from you, Neitshayd. And then I played Pokemon Violet, and at some point, I don't know when, I played also Yellow on the DS, on the 3DS. That's for the main games. For the spin-offs, I played Ranger, Shadows of Almia, and Guardian Signs. And I think my brother played the other one, the original Ranger one, maybe. I also played Mystery Dungeon, Explorers of Time, Gates to Infinity, and Super Mystery Dungeons. The last one being one you gave me, if I'm correct.
Was that? Yeah, I think Super Mystery Dungeon sounds about right. Could be the one I gave you.
Yes. I also played other Pokemon games like Super Pokemon Rumble, the Dream Raider thingy, Pokemon Shuffle, some other ones for the Wii or Wii U, like Pokken Tournament. It's like, no, it's not Pokemon Tournament, it's Pokken Tournament for some reason. And Snap and Stadium, the original ones, like from the N64. But I only had very limited access to that console and those games. But I did play them at least briefly. Okay, that was a long history. I played a lot of Pokemon games, didn't I?
So did I. So we both started with Generation 4. Have you ever played on the Game Boy?
Well, I had a Game Boy Advanced. Yes, I did. Well, I technically didn't play. Was it Leaf Green? I think my brother borrowed it from a friend. So, like one afternoon, we just played for 4 hours straight without saving, and then the game crashed and all of our progress was lost.
Happens.
So always remember to save the game. I mean, now it does the autosave thingy, which is a blessing. But
that's only the autosave is only the newest generation, right?
The autosave, wasn't it Pokemon Shield?
No, I don't remember Shield. But you did have the normal save option in Shield.
You did?
Yes. Yes,
in my memory, Shield also has the autosave.
I hate autosave because if I do something wrong and I don't want to, I want to go back and redo it. And I can't do that if there's autosave. That's stupid.
Well, most of the time, or at least sometimes, there's also the option to turn off the autosave. So if you don't like the autosave, turn it off.
Well, I won't play pardon me, Scarlet and Violet.
Yes.
Yeah, I did not play on the Game Boy. I never had a Game Boy. I only came to this world. Actually, I think the DSi was really already on the market. I wasn't really interested in gaming back then. Books were and still are more captivating. But the human family I lived with before I moved in with you gifted me a Nintendo DS Lite with the Pokemon game Heart Gold on it. And that got me into gaming. So Pokemon is basically responsible for getting me addicted to gaming.
I remember for the Game Boy Advance, like early days, that was my first console. I played Mario Kart with my brother. And I think Impossible or something. There was also an Impossible game. And probably like one or two others. But I remember those games.
I played those games on the DS on my own.
And back in the day, you didn't have wireless connection. You had to use a cable if you wanted to play Mario Kart together.
Well, I had no one to play with. Even if I had, my console wouldn't have been able to connect with them anyway. So it was kind of broken in that way.
Oh.
Question.
Yes?
I know you made an effort to complete the Pokédex for Violet, but other than that, did you ever try to catch them all?
Yes, I did try to catch them all, but I don't remember which games I tried that in. I know that I have for most core games, I have like 200 hours of gameplay, at least for the ones that came first, like Pearl and Platinum and Soul Silver. I know that I definitely had like 200 hours of those. I don't know when it started to decline because like for Shield, I only played like 50 hours. Yeah, but I don't know which ones I attempted to complete the Pokédex. But I mean, I had the advantage that my brother always got the game I didn't get because they always came in pairs, and then the third one at the beginning. So I had someone to trade with for the Gen exclusive Pokemon and the legendary and stuff. And I also remember that I think I tried doing like living dexes, a living Pokedex. So I would just go into my boxes and sort every Pokemon I had into like, okay, you need to go in that specific place because you are that number in the Pokedex. And then I tried to just like breed them, catch them, evolve, whatever, and just tried to do a living Pokedex. But I never succeeded, not even when I attempted it last in Violet, where there is the online trading function. I tried, but I didn't manage. I think I'm missing like 2 or 3, and it was just such a headache to try to trade with people online. I know that you can set like a code thingy. So yeah, and if someone else has like the same code like for the Pokemon like you want, you can like set up a trade between 2 specific Pokemon. But that I never got a Pokemon through that. And like the trading option, if you like connect to another player, and then it's like, yeah, it's basically like, yeah, you show them a Pokemon and like offer to trade, and then they can either accept it or not. And it's like, yeah, finding a trade partner who's like willing to trade with you and like understand what you want from them was so hard. I got annoyed a lot, and yeah, the annoyance just grew too much, so I didn't fully complete it. Rant over.
Weren't there, I think in some games you actually didn't have enough space to get a living Pokédex, as you called it.
Well, I remember that the more Pokemon you got, sometimes you got more boxes as you went. And like at the beginning, you have like 8 boxes, and then you catch more Pokemon, and then it's like, okay, now you've got 16 boxes. Oh, and now you have 24 boxes. That was also a thing, but I don't know when they introduced it and in which game that was a thing. Don't remember. Has been too long.
I think there was some outrage at some point, and I think that was on the 3DS because then they introduced Pokemon Home or something. Oh well. I wouldn't know. I never bothered. From my first game to my last, I never got the motivation. And even if I had access to the version-specific Mons, I wouldn't have done it. But, well, so it's like it never bothered me that I never had access to the specific ones. I just chose the gen with the Pokemon I wanted, and there's that. In fact, by the time I came to Generation 6, I believe, and during all my replays of previous generations, I made a point to only catch the Mons I wanted for my team. So Zorua, if available, about 2 to 5 others, and if I needed a HM slave, then the HM slave, and the legendaries. All with this standard Pokeball, of course.
Of course. I only started that with the standard Pokeball only in the more recent games. And I also like the Dusk Ball. That's a really nice ball. And in the earlier games, I remember that I used like the fast ball, where it's like, if it's like the first round, your earlier it is in the battle, the higher the rate of catching it with that ball. I used that quite a lot as well, but it's ugly, so I never used it on the Pokemon I actually wanted on my team, and I like, because I don't want them to be in a ball that I find ugly.
Makes sense. No, I was like standard Pokeball for everything. And since I only catch the Pokemon I want, plus legendaries, yeah. It's like my box. I mean, except for like games like Omega Ruby, where you got a lot of legendaries to catch. I never filled up even one box of the PC. Just be like that.
Yeah. And then you have me, and in some games I'm like, yes, 10 boxes just full of Pokemon or more. Give me all the Pokemon. Gotta catch them all.
How would I? Well, no, neither of us ever we never managed to catch them all, so...
The answer as to why would I do that is because I had time to kill. That's the answer. I had time to kill.
All right. Favorite Pokemon, I already alluded to this. Zorua. And the Vulpix Ninetales evolution. Both versions each, actually. I love foxes. Foxes.
My favorite, which, well, you probably have guessed, the other side of the background picture. It's the Alolan version of Vulpix / Ninetales. That's my favorite.
Good choice.
Thank you. Your choice is also good.
Yeah, favorite Pokemon's ideal team. Or current ideal team, because mine changed over the years. I think I got a whole list of it.
Mine changes regularly, maybe. It's like, yeah, today I feel like this. Today like this.
Mine changes, let's say, yearly or something. Or, yeah. When a new game comes out and there is a Pokemon I like, then it might change, but usually not really. So my current team would be Zorua, and then another Zorua, the Hisui one, Gengar, then the Ninetales from Kanto, Giratina, and Spectria, which is kind of a shitty team, because 4 out of those are ghost types, and 2 I refuse to evolve, and 2 are technically unfair because they're legendaries, but it'd be like that.
Yeah, it do be like that. My current team is, well, Ninetales, obviously, Alolan, and the Kanto one. So 2 foxes. Then also Dragonair, Gardevoir, Leshilam, and Darkrai. Yeah. I don't know, is that a balanced team? I mean, I have like Ice Fairy, I have a Fire, I have a Dragon, I have a Psychic Fairy, and then I have a Dragon Fire, and then I have Darkness.
Could be better, I think, but better than mine.
Well, yeah. So you have, like, what was it, 2 that you don't want to fully evolve? I have 1, the Dragonair. Maybe I would have decided to evolve that if the game creators had decided to do more of an evolution, continue with the Eastern Dragon style and not make this an abomination of a Western style dragon. It's like, why? I'm angry at them for doing that because I don't like the final evolution. It's ugly. Yes, it's strong as fuck, but it's just ugly. I will stick with my Dragonair. Thank you very much. And I also have 2 legendaries, just like you. So on that, we are the same.
Yes, but really, I don't know what happened with the poor Dragonair.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you at least have a bit more variety when it comes to types.
Yeah.
Also, why Darkrai? Darkrai. Pokemon.
Yes.
The nightmare Pokemon. That's a Pokemon I would
Yes.
expect more on my team compared to yours.
Well, yes, but I like it. It's a lovely Pokemon, isn't it?
I can't argue with that. It's just not something I would have expected coming from you, of all people.
That's just like the dark side that lurks inside of me, coming to light.
All right.
Dark side.
Yes, sure. Every Hufflepuff needs a dark side.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so from our history to the history.
Of the
Let me get out my
franchise.
dramatic storytelling voice for this one.
Yes. Okay.
So, once upon a time, there was a boy named Tajiri Satoshi who really liked bug catching and wanted to bring this wonderful activity to the children of the modern world as capsule monsters. Together with one Sugimori Ken, he founded Game Freak and they pitched Satoshi's idea to Nintendo. But Nintendo did not agree to fund them until a friendly friend by the name Miyamoto Shigeru helped them. And finally, after 6 years of development and great risk of bankruptcy for Game Freak, with Sugimori Ken providing the official artwork, Pocket Monsters was brought into the world. So, yeah, in 1996, Pokemon Red and Green came out for the Game Boy in Japan. Initially, sales were lukewarm, but after the mysterious Pokemon Mew was announced to be distributed to 20 people, sales for the game skyrocketed. Which, wow, 20 is nothing. It's such a small number. And then Pokemon Blue was released to provide improved graphics and sound. A trading card game was developed. Many manga adaptations got published. The well-known, terrible anime series featuring one Satoshi, alias Ash Ketchum, as the protagonist, and Shigeru, alias Gary Oak, as his rival, got published. Anyway, the manga series that would become the most popular in the West, which I'm still following and loving to this day, Pocket Monsters Special, or Pokemon Adventures in the West, was first published in 1997. It is also the most longest running Pokemon manga to date. In 1998, the first Pokemon Center was opened in Tokyo, selling merchandise. I believe it's not open anymore, though. In the same year, the original games and the anime reached the rest of the world. And with the release of Pokemon Yellow, and the help of the massively popular, horrible anime, Pikachu was quickly promoted to become the most popular Pokemon of the entire franchise. And that, ladies, gentlemen, non-binary folks, is how it all began.
Yes, it is. Even though I didn't know any of that. Oh, well. And what else do I have to say to this? You mentioned capsule monsters. Do you know what I had to think of?
My brain went Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yes, you know me so well. Because capsule monsters was also featured in Yu-Gi-Oh, but probably like in a different way. It was like an additional spin-off thingy they had at the end, which actually went back to the very first chapters in the manga that didn't get adapted into like the anime that is so well known. I mean, some people know that there is the so-called Season 0, and there it is featured. But
was Season 0 the green Kaiba one?
Yes, Kaiba with green hair. That is Season 0.
I only know it exists because of you, but I did know about the manga beforehand. Anyway,
but, yeah.
We'll make a Yu-Gi-Oh! Episode eventually. Not today.
Yes.
Today we're here to talk about Pokemon. So,
and Pokemon. Core games.
Generation 1.
Yes, Generation
Pokemon
1.
Red, Green / Blue, and Yellow. The first ever games.
Based in Kanto, the Kanto region, or Kanto, however you pronounce it, the region in Japan. It's based on the Japanese region. So they named after that region.
So you can catch, train, and trade 151 Pokemon while conquering all gyms over Kanto. Introducing the core features of the games that we all love or hate or are indifferent about. Anyway.
It's a nice game. It's a nice game. I mean, I did play Yellow, but I also remember that I kind of got stuck at one point playing the game, not knowing where I was supposed to go next. And if I remember correctly, it had something to do with the SSN, with the ship.
I got stuck too, somewhere else though. I think I don't remember if I ever managed to get out of that mountain. It was like shortly before or after the last gym leader, and I got stuck in a mountain and I never got out of it.
But don't you have like the escape thingies?
Nope.
The item thingy?
I had no escape rope in my inventory. So how am I supposed to get out of there if there's... Yeah.
By having all your Pokemon faint and black out and leave some money randomly on the ground, and then waking up in the Pokemon Center you last visited.
That's actually a good idea. Why did I never think of that?
I don't know.
No, I got stuck in the mountain and like I got lost. I didn't know where to go and it's just...
Did you at least enjoy the Pokemon designs of the Pokemon in the mountains?
I don't remember which Pokemon were in the mountain because I think if we... maybe Zubat and Golbat, but like Geodude is not something I like. Anyway. Still, it's the first gen. There's a huge nostalgia factor here, and I didn't even start with Gen 1. I started with the Gen 2 remakes and Gen 4, but yeah, these Pokemon are just... I love these designs. They're really good.
Yes, they really are good. They are largely based on like animals and nature and stuff. So maybe that also plays a part with the good design. Yeah. The designers did a good job with those. They did a good job.
Actually, I have no idea whether Ken Sugimori, the one who does the official artwork, is the only design, or back then might be that he and Satoshi were like the ones who came up with it on their own. The designs aren't the most original, but I really like them. They're cute, they're fun, there are no extremely humanoid ones, not even the ones that are actually based on humans like Machamp and Mr. Mime and Jinx. Mm-hmm. Almost all my favorite Pokemon are from Gen 1, best designs of all time. Like Gengar. Yes. But why? Why did Dragonair suddenly change from Eastern to Western Dragon? What's final evolution?
I don't know. I want to have a word with the creators. A very harsh word. Yeah, 2 Pokemon from this gen like made it onto my team. Ninetales and Dragonair. Already tells you good gen.
Yeah, I originally had more from Gen 1 on my team, but it evolved over time. I somehow turned into a ghost Pokemon trainer. Oh well. The story from Gen 1 is pretty simple. Team Rocket is pretty sick. There's not much to say about the plot. I love the rival, Green, Blue, whatever his name is. He's such an... Oh, it's marry me please. Platonically, of course. Also, did you know that the outcome of your initial fights against him in Yellow determine his Eevee's evolution?
I did not know. But nice tidbit.
Yeah, I knew that before, and it's like, if you lose the first battle, it evolves into Vaporeon, which is weak against Pikachu's electricity. If you win the first and either lose or skip the second battle, it evolves into Flareon, which is kind of indifferent. And then if you win both, it evolves into Jolteon, which is a bad matchup against Pikachu. Yeah. You can actually skip several of his battles, and his team will have the same types overall. Like, he has the same 6 types for his team, no matter which way you go. So,
but isn't...
Yeah, it's like, if he gets a Jolteon, then he will get a different 2 Pokemon. It's like he has like these 3 rotating Pokemon. Electricity, fire, and water. And it's like if he gets a Jolteon, then he has the other 2 types from the 3 other Pokemon. If he gets the Flareon, then he gets the electricity and the... Yeah, you get the gist. It's like the types at the end of the day of his final team are always the same types. It's just that the Pokemon are a little bit different.
But that's nice. Such a nice little thing.
Yes. It's lovely. It's like kind of, if you don't notice and you just do your own thing, you could actually miss out on some battles against him. Whoops.
Yes.
Although I think some of those battles are only skippable if you have like cut earlier. For example, if you get a Pokemon via trade that has cut.
Mm.
Oh well, anyway. Agatha of the Elite Four and her Gengar Cane. I love her. Ghosts. Technically, there weren't enough ghosts in Gen 1 to make her a true ghost trainer, but ghost.
Ghost. Gengar with a cane.
Yeah, she has a Gengar, or several, depending on and she has a cane that looks like a Gengar, and it's lovely. It looks really nice.
Yes, yes.
And we got, Team Rocket is like the Mafia? The Yakuza? Don't know enough to say. They're evil. They kill Pokemon, probably humans too. They survive like cockroaches and even infiltrate other regions like Alola. And Giovanni is freaking awesome.
I mean, he has a pet cat. He has a cat.
Yeah. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Plus point. Cat.
Yep. Cats make good humans. Well, no, not good in the sense of I'm good and you're evil, but good as in you're kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, actually, in the Pokemon Adventures manga, some of the gym leaders, other than Giovanni, were involved with Team Rocket. And top. Spoilers. Guys, read the Pokemon Adventures manga.
So, am I supposed to read the manga now?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe I will do that. Maybe not. Well, I did start on it, but I never continued. Maybe I will one day. It's better than other original source materials, even though, is it in this case an original source material? Kind of isn't.
No, the original in this case are the core games.
Yeah. And what's also like, okay, if Team Rocket is like the Mafia, the Yakuza, what age are you when you fight them? 10? You just started your journey not too long ago, but somehow you are essential to taking down the Mafia. Protagonist powers. Am I right?
I think the age is never really specified. Somewhere around 11 or 12, I'd say. Typical YA novel protagonist age, actually. I believe Gen 5 made the player characters a bit older, perhaps 15. 14. I think Gen 5 was 14 years old, and Alola mentions 11 at some point, if I'm not mistaken, but most games don't really specify it, so it could be whatever you want.
Well, there comes in the anime that you hate so much because Ash was like 10 for 20 years or something.
Yeah, it's a joke at this point, a meme. It just 30 years, 50 years, 100 years, how many? He will always be 10.
Yeah.
Forever 10.
Yeah. Also, imagine all the fainted Pokemon in the wild are just lying around. Aren't they like perfect targets for Team Rocket? Why do they have to fight me and like try to steal my Pokemon when there's so many fainted Pokemon lying around for them? Can't they just catch them? Don't bother me. I want to go on a journey.
Oh dear. The poor Pokemon just lying around, fainted or dead. Oops. Oopsie.
Yeah.
Poor Pokemon.
I have one more question for Gen 1 before we move on to Gen 2. What is your starter Pokemon for this gen? Bulbasaur, Charmander, or is it Squirtle? Mine is Bulbasaur. I kind of have a thing for grass starters. As you will notice when we discuss the other gens and like what starter we chose there. Just for me, you can just assume default is grass starter.
You know what I just noticed? Squirtle kind of sounds a bit dirty, doesn't it?
Squirtle
sounds. If you don't know, I will not sully your innocent mind. But all right, mine would be Charmander. I generally prefer fire starters, but plant is fine. I don't think I've ever chosen water, except, well, we got to it. Yeah, your plant, I'm fire. Charmeleon, I don't care about, but Charizard is cool. The others are cool too, but Charizard is the coolest.
If you say so. I just want to poison people with my grass starter.
Valid. So, Generation 2. Gold, Silver, and Crystal in Yoto, with 100 new Pokemon.
Well, would you have guessed? It's once again based on a region in Japan, but the region is called Kansai. It's based on the Kansai region in Japan, and technically I never actually played this gen.
Yeah, only the remakes, like me.
Yes, but I really enjoyed the remakes. It's like you got to explore both Yoto and Kanto, and there was just so much to explore. Like, imagine getting this much content in the more recent gens for the same price.
Oh, wouldn't that be great? I'm looking at you, Sword and Shield. I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
This generation introduces gender to Pokemon, allowing for players to breed them.
So one can make them go at it like bunnies.
Sure, let's go with that. Yes.
But wait, if we let them go at it like bunnies, does this change the balance in the wild? Because if you want the perfect IVs and stuff, that's gonna take a lot of eggs, and ecosystems can be fragile. Because why would you all keep them in your box? Your box would be full. So you gotta release them into the wild. And, well, yeah. And now feel free to tell me that natures were introduced later, because I don't know if it was already a thing in Gen 2, because I think it's like maybe Gen 3, Gen 4? I don't know. Because otherwise there wouldn't actually be a reason to mass breed them other than doing so. Yeah. Maybe if you want the other gender, then you can breed it with Ditto.
Consider this me telling you that they were introduced next gen. Shiny breeding is still a thing though.
Yeah, kind of forgot about that. Shiny breeding also takes a lot of time, a lot of eggs, a lot of possibilities to change the fragile ecosystem of the Pokemon world.
As for the ecosystem being influenced, game logic prevents that.
How could I forget? Game logic.
I wonder how many Pokemon die in battle. I mean, we do have graveyards. Or are they cemeteries? No, well, actually, does Pokemon have church? I don't think so. So they are probably cemeteries. Yeah, the Pokemon Adventures manga actually shows Pokemon dying, and there are, cemeteries in the games, in the manga.
I mean, we have Pokemon battling each other, but they only ever faint. At least in most cases. Do you want to tell the children who are playing this game and are the target audience that the Pokemon don't fade, but you actually kill all these Pokemon out in the wild? Do you want to tell them that they are actually murderers?
You know, when I play Pokemon, I'm like, oh no, my Pokemon died. Ha, I gotta kill you now and stuff like that. So it's, I know the game says it fainted, but I'm like, it died. And then it got revived, you know? The Pokemon nurses are necromancers, they revive your Pokemon. Anyway, yeah, world building isn't really a strong suit of the Pokemon franchise. Also, genders are also introduced to the player character with Crystal. So now not only the Pokemon have genders, the player can choose it as well.
Now you can be whatever gender you want to be, as long as it's male or female.
Yeah, binary. Anyway. So a time system is implemented, providing different events for day, night, and weekdays.
So now you can't even just pick up the game whenever you want. Like, for the full experience, you need to pick it up at certain times. Wow. They want to make us addicted to this game and play it at all times.
Unless you're like me and just change the time of your console.
Yes. Also, a thing. But
Time travel.
But you first have to get that idea as a child. And like as a law-abiding little child, you first have to think of, wait, this is a thing I can do?
Oh, children don't think of... Well, I never was a child, so I wouldn't know. Oh, well.
I mean, I did think of it eventually. Maybe. I don't remember when I started to time travel. And I don't even remember if the time traveling started with Pokemon. Because time traveling for me on like the 3DS is just like Animal Crossing. You need to time travel in Animal Crossing.
Yes.
You don't need to time travel for Pokemon, but you need to time travel for Animal Crossing.
I mean, that's how I figure. I started doing it for Animal Crossing for the Nintendo DS, which was Wild World, I believe.
Which I didn't have.
I never did it for Pokemon because I never needed to. But yeah. Anyway, friendship with your Pokemon is also introduced. The shiny Pokemon I already mentioned, like the famous red Gyarados.
Yes, with its Lake of Outrage.
Mon designs. Best evolution generation in my opinion, even though my favorite evolution is Gen 4's Glaceon, but like Espeon and Umbreon, yes.
I mean, my favorite evolution is Umbreon, and Espeon is also pretty nice. I didn't like Espeon as a child, but it grew on me. But Umbreon is still my favorite.
I started liking it once I realized it was based on the Japanese cat, the two-tailed. Now I won. Was it the Nekomata or the Bakaneko? I think that was the Nekomata. Is it a yokai? It's probably a yokai, and it's like if the cat, once a cat gets old enough, its tail splits, and then it got two tails.
Two tails.
And I was like, oh, it's a cat. Well, now I must like it. I have to. They didn't necessarily get more creative with their Pokemon designs this generation, but the new Mons fit right in with Gen 1.
Yeah. No Pokemon from this gen for my team. None of them made it. But the designs are still amazing, and there are a lot of designs I really like.
Yeah. So, let's talk plot. Another great rival with Silver, and this one isn't just a mean dude. He also has a touch of evil. We literally meet him when he plans to steal a Pokemon, and he undergoes character development from abusing his Pokemon to, he abuses his Pokemon at the beginning, and then he learns how to care for them.
So the games like evolved by having the character evolve, or like the games developed by having character development, however you want to put it.
Yep. And I liked the added lore with Ho-Oh and Lugia and the Beast Trio, and Red being the strongest trainer to beat in this neat edition. Neat edition. That was cool. I never beat him. I never managed to beat him. I mean, Heart Gold. I don't know whether I did it. No, I don't think I managed the replays either, because Heart Gold is very difficult, you know? Back then, the games were still a challenge to play.
Oh,
but
yes.
It's like when I first played Heart Gold and I had no idea what I was doing and what's going on. I only understood half of what they were saying. And it's like, Ho-Oh basically carried my team through the League 4 and a lot of revives. And I was horrible at this game.
Did you just go like, kill them with fire? Ho-Oh, breathe fire down upon them.
Essentially, it's like I spammed the two strongest attacks of Ho-Oh with, and then I just, what are they called? PP?
Yes.
Whatever, the attack thingies.
Yes, in English they are for some reason called PP. Could have chosen a better thing.
Well, it's an abbreviation. Anyway, so, Starters?
Starters, let's talk starters. In Gen 2, we have Chikorita, Cyndaquil, and Totodile? Is that how you pronounce it? Totodile?
Crocodile, Totodile, yeah, probably.
Yeah, for me it's once again the grass starter. Chikorita.
My favorite starter of this gen is Cyndaquil, but I actually chose Chikorita on my first ever game, mostly. So, like, my first ever Pokemon was Chikorita. I own plushies of them both. And I once had a Pikachu plushie, but that one got torn apart by the doggo from the human family I lived with. He needed a plush, and the only one I had without, like, eyes that are detachable and could be swallowed were my Pokemon plushies. So it was either Pikachu or the starters, and I sacrificed Pikachu for the little puppy.
Yes.
He loved that toy. He loved it to death, which is why it got torn apart.
Well, that's nice. He liked
Oh, well.
Pikachu.
Anyway, I really like the evolution lines as a whole. Both Chikorita and Cyndaquil and Quilava.
Quilava?
Is my favorite. Yeah, I'm like, I always want to say Quilava, but it's Q and U, so it's Quilava.
It's
anyway.
Quilava. I mean,
I think
it's yeah. How are we supposed to know? English is not a phonetic language. We are not supposed to know to begin with.
And it's like, is there, if you ignore the anime, is there even an official pronunciation guide somewhere? Probably not. The games don't have voiceover, and we are not Japanese. Otherwise, we would know how to pronounce it. Or it's like, because the Japanese names are different, obviously. And yeah. Anyway, Gen 3, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. Welcome to Hoenn.
Which is based on Kyushu, also Japan.
We now have contests, double battles, abilities and natures, together with effort values and individual values are now introduced. All very nice improvements for the gameplay.
Yes. The games continue to improve, but I can't talk because I only played Alpha Sapphire, so I technically didn't play this gen either.
I don't have a lot to say about Gen 3's Pokemon designs. They're nice.
Yeah, like the Pokemon designs continue to be good. One Pokemon from this gen made it onto my team, even Gardevoir, and I have to say Altaria was and is always also close to making it into the team, because you don't, or you can't have like your ideal team in every generation, because not every Pokemon is in every game. Like, so we have to choose, and so Altaria is just like, yes, it's like the runner-up spot.
I actually had Altaria in my team for a long time. It only recently got thrown out because there are now too many Zaruras and Ninetales and Ghosts.
Can you imagine how fluffy it would be?
Oh, like clouds.
Yes, fluffy clouds.
But yeah, before I went Ghost type, I had actually a pretty well-balanced team, and Altaria was part of it. But yeah, compared to previous games, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald certainly upped their game when it comes to plot. We finally got some proper lore, world creation, not universe creation, that's Gen 4, but world creation. Team Aqua and Team Magma
and Magma.
I think it's Magma. Anyway,
English and pronunciation.
I like the difference in teams between game versions, but I'm not all that sold on their overall evilness.
Well, opposing teams is a nice change. I did like that. But how did like Team Aqua and Team Magma think like flooding everything or getting rid of the ocean is a good idea? How did they get to that idea? It's like, it's a balance, you know?
That's where the evil comes in, I suppose. The Delta episode from Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire added some fun stuff too, even if it was rather ridiculous, even for Pokemon standards. But that's not Gen 3. Gen 1 gets remakes in the forms of Fire Red and Leaf Green, this gen. And there are new kinds of gameplays introduced in the first Mystery Dungeon and Ranger games.
And yes, would you look at that? As I mentioned earlier, I did play Leaf Green technically. And yeah, Mystery Dungeon and Ranger games. I also played some of those, even though I don't even know which one is original for Mystery Dungeons. Is it just called Mystery Dungeons? In that case, I
Could
haven't
be.
played it.
I
Like,
have
yeah,
no idea.
as I said, didn't play the original Ranger game, but I think my brother did. So, starters, Gen 3 starters. We have Trico? Because is it based on a tree? I think so. So, Trico. We've also got Torchic, a chicken, and a Mudkip. Well, would you have guessed? For me, it's Treco, however you pronounce it. Do you want to know why it's Grovile? The second evolution, was it the first evolution? The middle one. The middle one. And why? Because of the anime, actually.
Did you just say
Mhm.
anime?
Yes.
I don't know you.
You
Same
don't know
for
me?
me actually. Also because of the middle one. But for me it's because of the time travel mystery dungeon game. Because I played that, and oh well, spoilers I guess. It's Grovile is the enemy for most of it, but the story is really, really sweet, bittersweet, and I fell in love with that Pokemon. So of course I chose that one.
Yes.
Moving on to Gen 4. It has now officially been 10 years since the release of Red and Green.
Oh, congratulations!
Yes. Well done, Pokemon. So, Diamond, Pearl, and eventually Platinum, the arguably best games, were released.
Mm-hmm. It's still based in Japan. It's like, okay, this time we have like two names for the region, Sinnoh and Hisui. I don't know why they had to rename it Hisui, but well, I guess over time the name of regions do change, and it is based on Hokkaido in Japan. It's the first game, or the first gen I played, as I mentioned earlier, so nostalgia.
There is now a difference between physical and special moves. Never realized they didn't introduce that until Gen 4. But yeah.
Wait, that wasn't a thing before this gen? Oh.
Nope. Gen 1 is so simple you don't expect it to be there, but we haven't actually played Gens 2 and 3. Only the remakes, and the remakes are always brought up to the current generation standards. The remakes are not remasters. Anyway, Gen 2 also gets remakes now. Heart Gold and Soul Silver.
Yes. And I remember playing the heck out of those mini games they had in there, like the hurdles game, which apparently also refers to like both the obstacles and the discipline. And I'm like, why? That is confusing to me as a not native speaker of this language. Anyway.
Because. Yes. Anyway, this is where the graphics get good. Of course, every single one of these games is limited to the hardware it was released for. Gen 1 was especially limited in that regard. I can't speak for Gens 2 and 3, never played the original versions. But yeah, Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, and then Heart Gold and Soul Silver for the Nintendo DS look really good.
Yes, they do.
Oh, and walking Pokemon. The first of your party Pokemon follows you in the overworld. Best feature to ever get introduced.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree. In Diamond and Pearl and in Platinum, you could only do it in the little Poke Park thingy they had, but then in the Gen 2 remakes, it followed you everywhere. It was so cute. Oh, I wish they did it in all the following games as well. That's it was so sad.
Gen 4 and Gens 5. Gens 4 and 5 are the peak of Pokemon, in my opinion. But Gen 4 is not the peak in Pokemon design. Could be worse, but not the best.
Yeah, well, I I kind of disagree. It's like, for me, it's more like, yeah, I still kind of like the Pokemon designs, and how am I supposed to choose which one to take into my team?
Giratina.
Yes, Giratina is a must for the team. And how could you have gotten Arceus? Because I got like Darkrai and Cresselia and the like through events, but how could you get Arceus?
You already answered that. Events. There was a feature in the original Diamond, Pearl, Platinum games that would have allowed you to get Arceus in the Hall of Origins, located above the spear pillar. The spare spear pillar. Accessible with the Azure Flute, but that flute was an event item that never got distributed.
So I couldn't actually have gotten it because there was no chance to get the Azure Flute because it was never distributed. So it was an event that was never an event.
There are hacks for that. Cheat codes. Anyway.
Which I didn't have and didn't use. I was a good child. I didn't cheat.
I could have gotten them, but I didn't use them. So. Anyway, you can actually create your own creation trio Pokemon in Heart Gold Soul Silver if you enter the Zinja runes with an event Arceus. Yeah. So, well, since there are technically two different event Arceuses, like the one that you technically can't get.
And the one that I missed.
And the other one, yes. So you can like do this 2 times. You can get 2 out of the 3 creation trio. Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina.
Well, I know which ones I would have gotten. Well, the first choice is obvious. Giratina. And then would have been second one. And then just for nostalgia reasons, I would have chosen Palkia. Who cares about Dialga?
I would have chosen Dialga. Because I prefer its design.
So you want to travel through time, and then I want to travel through space, and then combined we can travel to time and space.
When you put it like that, I would prefer to travel through time.
Oh, so...
no, sorry. Space. I meant that. I meant space. So I can escape this damn world.
So Palkia it is after all.
But Dialga looks better. No, I'm all with Giratina. I'm Giratina all the way, you know? And Giratina can take me to the other world. Yes. Anyway, the plot, the narrative, lore. I love that. The creation myth with Arceus and the aptly named creation trio. Giratina, my love, and
yes.
Yeah, Sinnoh has such a rich history in general. One of the gym leaders, the electric one, reminds me of Minato from Naruto. But anyway, can't say I care for the rival. What's his name? He's kind of annoying, but Team Galactic? Team Galactic.
Named after planets or gods. And I vividly remembered that there was just like, they have like very colorful hair. Why do they have such colorful hair? Yeah. I don't actually quite remember what they wanted exactly. Was it a new universe or something? Like, this universe sucks, there's so much suffering, let's create a new one?
Well, who doesn't want to change the entire universe fundamentally? Casualties be damned. It actually depends on which version you play. Because, like, depending on which of the 3 games you play, the Cyrus, or what's his name, the evil boss has different motivations. And the champion was pretty cool too. So,
yes,
yeah.
Cynthia, our champion. Which, wasn't she also in like a later game that she was just like in a house somewhere and you can challenge her, and she was there because she wanted to like broaden her horizon?
Yes.
Yes. And I remember these games like very fondly, and since I wanted to experience it all over again, I got Platinum for myself because, well, it was my first game, and if the game would have sucked, I wouldn't have gotten Platinum. Yeah, and when the time for the remake came, I just looked forward to the nostalgia and to the re-experience, just like the story and stuff with all these new and improved graphics on the Switch and the like. But there is no remake.
Yeah, there are only remastered versions. We never got the remakes. for Gen
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
Oh well. Oh well.
Starters?
Starters.
For this gen, we have Turtwig, Chimchar, and Piplup. I choose Turtwig, as expected, the grass starter, and Torterra, let the earth quake, crunch into your enemies, and drain them of their energy. Yes.
I don't like any of them. I know I chose Turtwig once and Blab another time, but I ditched them both pretty soon. While I personally do not like them, I do think the evolution line designs are good.
It's like,
So,
I don't like Chimchar and its evolutions. It's like, I don't care about these monkeys. Piplup is decent. Piplup is good. And then you have Torterra. And I just love Torterra. And like from the thing, like, which attacks did I have it? You know? It's like, okay, I always use, you have 4 attacks. But with Torterra, it was like, it needs to have these 3 attacks. And I never used the 4th attack. It was just like Earthquake, Crunch, and Giga Drain. It doesn't even need a 4th attack.
yeah, I never used any starters for Gen 4.
Anyway.
So, next generation 5. New region, new Pokemon. Black and White comes as a fresh start of sorts, featuring exclusively new Pokemon during the main story.
Yes, so now we have to decide not only based on the legendaries, but also based on the other exclusive Pokemon, but Reshiram all the way. Reshiram, give me my Reshiram.
That's actually not what I meant. The version different
No?
Pokemon were already introduced in Gen 1.
Oh.
I meant to say that during the main story of Black and White, we only get to see and catch Gen 5 Pokemon, and Pokemon from all previous generations don't appear until after the main story is concluded.
Oh, so that's what you meant. Okay. Anyways, where is this game based? For the first time, it's actually not based on a Japanese region. This region is called Unova, and it is based on New York City in the United States. Because, of course, the first non-Japan based one has to be based in the US. Yes.
Well, seasons are added to the time system, allowing for seasonal Pokemon forms. The sprite animations were overhauled. Triple battles are introduced. And where is my walking Pokemon?
I don't know where to be found. They just, no.
Yeah. So the differences between versions now extend to certain parts of the game world as well, like the Black City and the White Forest.
And because I didn't play Black and Black 2, but Black and White 2, I actually got to see the very pretty White Forest and could catch my darling Reshiram again. I could do both in the same game.
Yeah. Like I already mentioned, this generation peaks together with Gen 4. Like, also not peak design. Like, the same as Gen 4. It's like these 2 gens are the best gens, but not the best Mon designs. It has ups and downs in regards to Mon designs. Like, there's some really cool ones, except for the pig's final evolution. The starters are really cool. Zorua, the legendaries, then Dino, and Lavesta and their evolution lines and so on. And some choices I disagree with. Embor, the final evolution of the fire starter. The monkeys, the ice cone, the trash one could have been done better. Heatmore has a super unfortunate design. But still, Zorua.
But yeah, I don't really like the Pokemon of this gen as much as the ones from like Gen 1 to 4, but they are okay. They are okay. And this is also like the gen where I started to struggle to remember all the Pokemon names. Maybe it's because they're kind of ugly. Maybe that is the reason.
I have forgotten much in recent years, but I believe there was a point where I remembered all Pokemon names up to and including Gen 5 in both of the human languages that I speak.
For me, it's like, okay, yes, from Gen 1 to 4 in my native language, I could name all of them, and then some of the other gens that came after. And now it's like I'm slowly learning the English names. Like for the newer ones like Pokemon Shield and Violet, I only know the English names because I played those games in English. But it's getting hard to remember all these names. Yeah. Anyways, so this was the first installment where we didn't actually get a third game. And because let's be honest, we expected a game called Grey. Because it's like, yeah, Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, and you always had like the three things, and you could guess at what the name for the third one would be. But no. For this one, we got a continuation for the individual versions, giving the fans even more content to experience. So did they do this for the fans or to make more money? Because now they have 4 games they can sell instead of 3.
There's I'll get into that. But I'd say the sequels Black 2 and White 2 were great.
Yes.
Visually, I'd say Black and White improved on what Gen 4 already did very well. I remember needing to get used to some of the more 3D looking parts at first, but overall the graphics were quite pretty. Also interesting that they included some 3D when we were not on a 3DS.
Yes,
and
they were ahead of the time.
Yeah, and the different seasons were also visually stunning.
Oh yes, the spring season. I like the spring season. Ah, yes. Do you also remember the gigantic bridge? That looked fantastic.
Yes. Yes, I remember. And yes, it looked great. I think that was one of the features where I was like, need to get used to that, but
Yeah.
And the big city, of course.
I'm trying to think of other places that look amazing, but I already mentioned the White Forest, and I can't think of anything else.
The big New York-like city was cool.
Well, the Black City, but I didn't really like the Black City.
The big city.
Oh, the big city thing.
Yeah, the big New York-like city. What this game is based on, basically.
Where you had wasn't there the first gym in that city? Or was it before that?
No, in the first gym is the stupid monkey gym.
The monkey gym. Where you had based on your starter, you had to face a different opponent. It was also nice.
And then in the sequels, it was a bit different. Monkeys. The designs of the monkeys are stupid. The gym is anyway. Plot. Plot. As much as I love Gen 4, Gen 5 is just chef's kiss. Best story out of all of the core games, I think, in my opinion. Although I can't say I care about the rivals much. You maybe from the sequels, but the others, N was a great antagonist. His character just has so much depth. Exploring the morality of Pokemon battles, the Ferris wheel scene, his shit show of a father, and Team Plasma.
Yes, the whole storyline with N and Team Plasma wanting to free the Pokemon from slavery so that they didn't have to fight for the amusement of humans ever again. I can get behind that, And N and Gestis, or however you pronounce him, just amazing characters.
Well, it's like the music thingy.
Yes.
Actually, could be the German music thingy that is. But anyway, I love the premise of their goals. I adore Getsis as a villain. He's evil. He even outright tries to and almost succeeds in killing the protagonist using poor Jerem. Poor Jerem. No, well, Jerem. Curem. It's a K, not a G. Sorry. Yeah, poor Curem. My poor lovely Curem was also on my team for a while because it's just a lovely bittersweet Pokemon. But yeah, bloody awesome villain. He's evil. And yeah, the Tao trio and their backstory, very great. But poor Curem. Anyway, and then we got Colress, who is a neat evil for science's sake character. So Gen 5 is, in my opinion, the beginning of the decline in overall quality and dedication to creating good games for the core series of the franchise. The developers were very passionate about Black and White, but the initial reaction must have been quite disappointing. Sales were low, critique everywhere. The overall opinion only changed to a positive one in the years after. So when Black and White came out originally, people were not happy. They didn't really like them. And now it's like, yeah, one of the best games, and most people acknowledge that. And then Black 2 and White 2 released in an effort to address all the complaints people had, but sales were even worse this time.
Oh no.
It's like, yeah, maybe they originally wanted to do a Pokemon Gray, but yeah, stuff happened. And I think that was the turning point. It's like they put all this effort and passion into it and got only bad reviews out of it. And
that's so sad.
So Gen 4 is the best overall generation in my opinion, but Gen 5 was still really good. And yeah, starting from Gen 6, the games got worse and worse and worse with each new release. They're just banking on nostalgia at this point and how famous it is, and it just there's no effort put into it anymore to make actual good games.
Maybe it was like, okay, yes, we put so much effort into these games and even make continuations or like 2 new games to address all the complaints and issues that people had, and they were still passionate back in the day and tried their goddamn best, and people didn't acknowledge it, at least at the time they didn't. So maybe they were just like, okay, let's just throw it into the wind and don't put as much passion into it anymore. Or maybe they realized that they just don't need to do that to still sell games. Yeah, anyways, we will get into that in the next episode. Okay?
No, we won't. We won't. This is all I had to... It's like, I addressed what I wanted to say about that. Next episode will be just like, yeah, this game is bad and this is worse and this is... Anyway.
Works as well.
It's up until Gen 5, they were very passionate, and you could... They put so much effort, and you can feel that when you play the games. And then... I mean, that's what Pokemon started as a passion project. And then...
From a bug catcher.
Now they're just greedy. Greedy.
Oh, yes.
Greed.
Yes, they are. Anyways, starters. Gen 5 had Snivy, Tepig, and Oshawott. And I remember that I basically did every battle with my snake. The superior serpent. Superior.
I chose the same starter, and I used it. But then some dude in Black 2, which I played before White, gave me a Zorua. Actually, is it Zorua or Zorua? Anyway, a Zorua for free. And the rest of my team suddenly was never used in battle again. Level 100 Zorua for the win. I don't remember what I did in White. I have no idea. I don't remember.
Level 100 Zorua for the win that never faints because the friendship is so high that it just survives on 1 HP for all of eternity.
Well, that was not Gen 5 because Gen 5 didn't have that feature yet.
Oh.
But my level 100 Zorua still survived everything.
And my superior also like died during one gym battle. I think it was like flying gym or something. So I was at a disadvantage. And my superior was like 20 levels above the rest. So the rest of my team was useless. But then my superior died. And I remember that I had to like level up another Pokemon just for that gym. It's like, oh, the game at that point just didn't hold your hand and you could just breeze through it. You actually had to work for it. Anyway.
Oh well. All right.
Yes.
We'll continue with Gen 6 next week. And then we'll talk about some spin-off games, manga and anime, the live-action film, Detective Pikachu. Now I want to play Pokemon.
Now you want to play Pokemon?
Yeah, Gen 5 replay. I did a Gen 4 and Gen 6 replay just last year, so would be fitting to do Gen 5 now.
Yes, would be fitting. Shall I join you in that?
Yeah, I need your charger anyway, because my NDS charger is... Didn't that blow up?
Oh yes, that blew up.
Yeah, it blew up.
Yeah.
Oops.
Whoopsie.
This just happened. we were watching something in your room, I remember that, and I tried to unplug it and then it blew up.
Yeah, and there was a little spark, and I'm just glad nothing caught fire.
Yeah.
And it was all okay, it's broken, everything is fine, we are fine, and we're just gonna throw that into the electric trash.
I mean, it was not an original one anyway, because my original one broke, and I bought a second original, and that broke, and the third one, when I wanted to buy it, there were no original ones left, so I had to get a cheap fake thingy. It still worked well, and then... Yeah.
And I have the original one, and it never broke.
I'm also on my third Nintendo DS, so...
Well,
but all three of them were used products. The first one I got as a present was the first product. The second one I bought as a used product, and this one I also bought as a used product. But the third one I only bought because like a friend didn't want it anymore and it was still working perfectly, and it's not like they produce them anymore, so... And I didn't want to get a DSi.
I mean...
For reasons.
No, I got my consoles all new. I don't know how long I played on the Game Boy Advance, but like the other consoles I got since then, like the DS Lite I got, the 3DS, the Wii. I played like 1,000 plus hours on those consoles. I don't know if I've reached that with the Switch yet. Probably because I have like 500 hours of Animal Crossing alone. And then there's like Breath of the Wild and Fire Emblem with like 150 hours or something. And then like Pokemon Shield and Violet with 50 hours. Maybe I'm over 1,000 over 1,000 hours then by now as well.
I know for sure that you have more hours on the Switch than I do. I have less Animal Crossing hours. I do have more Breath of the Wild ones and more Shield and stuff.
But
anyway,
I know someone who has even more Animal Crossing
yeah, in general, you
me.
play more Switch games than me, except for recent months. We both haven't picked up our Switch in ages. We will once the new Zelda game comes out. I saw fan art of that today.
Oh yes.
Ooh. Yeah, someone drew fan art. I don't know whether Ganondorf is coming back as a human man, but the fan art looked hard. Don't tell. Yeah. Ganondorf. It's like because for some Breath of the Wild was like, yeah, we got this weird monster thingy and there's no human form for him, but I saw fan art, so maybe he's coming back, and he looked really hard.
Well, then it will be my first time seeing Ganondorf, because Breath of the Wild was my first Zelda game. On your recommendation, I played it.
We will unfortunately not do a Zelda episode, because that would be me talking 90% of the time, trying to remember stuff I don't remember, and you just nodding along, not knowing what I'm talking about.
I would be like this. I agree. Oh yeah, I have no clue, so I'm just gonna agree.
Anyway, that's it, folks.
Yeah. In the meantime, until the next episode, you can find us on Twitter at Tea and Toffees, and we are also on Spotify for the YouTube listeners.
Or if you're listening to this on Spotify, we're also on YouTube at Tea and Toffees.
And if you enjoyed this episode, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell.
You know the drill. We will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.